y'all. How you perking? I hope you're perking good. So, got some questions here from y'all. Basically about the current Trump administration and kind of where things are headed, what we can look forward to, anything that we can know about that. Got this handy dandy sticky note here with your ideas for us to look into today. So, hold on to your seats. We're going to take a look at them, see what we can find out, and hope that this doesn't go on some kind of a crazy path that we were not expecting. Sometimes these videos grow legs and a life of their own, and it's hard to keep track of it. So let's see how this goes. I am a licensed mental health clinician as well as a spiritual intuitive, and in these videos we take a look at the tea with the tarot. Don't let that freak you out here. Got a good track record here on the channel. And let me just go ahead and bring the cards up over here and move this microphone right here. Yes, Penelope and her purples. All right, so as I get shuffled up into this, the questions that y'all have asked me here, basically, is the Trump administration strengthening or weakening the United States? And they wrote like several different kind of things, like in a global sense, in a financial sense, in a like internal self-reliance sense, like in all these different ways that we can kind of think about it or look at it. Is the Trump administration strengthening or weakening the United States? So I thought that was a very good question. This is a pretty intense question, pretty involved question, pretty heavy and laden question, but we're going to try to dig in here and find that out. And then also there were a couple questions here that we'll see if we kind of can get to this. One question that said, will President Trump get impeached for a third time during his presidency? So interesting to wonder if that will happen. I also had several people writing in asking if President Trump will even be able to finish his full term. So I thought that was a very interesting yet cryptic question. So we'll see what all we can get to here today. As usual, this is all alleged, just my interpretation, okay? All alleged, just my interpretation, all right? Gotta say that for the YouTube overlords, for whatever CYA reasons. So, for reasons. Why? Because for reasons. Thanks, YouTube. So, let's get shuffled up here and take a peek into these questions, starting with, is the Trump administration strengthening or weakening the U.S.? Weakening the U.S. And I know that they broke it down with all those different kind of ways that it could be strengthening or weakening. Again, people were looking at things financially, globally, in terms of self-reliance or internal things. I'm just going to ask this straight out to the guides as is and see what we're allowed to know, what they're willing to give us. If we need to go into any rabbit holes for each of those categories, then we can. But I just kind of want to throw it over to the guides and see where they start with this on whether or not they're strengthening or weakening the U.S. So I just let's just see where they take this for us. Alrighty. So, first and foremost here. Interesting. So here are two energies that are more, I guess, cerebral. They're the air energy, the sword energy. So that's one thing that we'll take a look at. Here, these two energies are more of the pentacles of the earth type of energies. Then these two are more emotional kinds of energy. So it's interesting that we've got a little bit of a play on all the different types here. I will say, Well, I guess before I even say this, let me say my usual thing. I am not a Republican. I am not a Democrat. I am an independent that gets really caught between, like, monkey in the middle here. Monkey in the middle. There's a lot of things on both sides that I disagree with and agree with. So literally, I'm kind of an issue by issue person. So that's that. I got to put that out there all the time whenever I do political videos, so that people know that I don't have some sort of, express bias one way or the other for Democrats versus Republicans or Trump versus whoever else or whatever. I'm an issue by issue type of girl. That's how it is for me. So anyway, what I'm taking a look at right here, the energy here, I will say, isn't freaking me out too terribly bad from what we're looking at, at jump. Not too terribly bad. Are there some not so great things that we see in here? Yes, and we can get into those. But there's also some things in here that are interesting, and, we'll point it out. So, the Page of Swords in reverse is one of the ones that is a not so good energy coming up right here. This is kind of looking like the Trump administration is, and again, this is just how this is pitched to me, don't shoot the messenger, that it is not always clear in what they're wanting or what they're doing or what they're presenting. This is confusion. This is like lack of a solid path forward. This kind of stuff could come up with, like, okay, the visual that they're giving me, and it's distracting me, so I can't even talk because they're giving me a visual. They're giving me a visual of, like, if you're in a business meeting and you and your colleagues are here at the table, and then there's other people you're supposed to be collaborating with externally, and they come to the table as well, and then y'all are all talking, and somebody on your side that's from your agency pops off and says something, and you're like, what are you saying that for? We didn't talk about this. We didn't agree on this behind the scenes. Don't be saying this or promising this or that when we have to talk about that together and come to a consensus together first. We need to get internally on the same page first before you put that out there. There's that kind of energy coming through here with this reversed Page of Swords. So there's something here that feels a little bit like rushed and chaotic when it comes to clarity and mentality and things that need to be thought through well. So kind of feels like people not quite being on the same page about certain things, or, kind of jumping the gun. Pages are also usually our youth cards, so they come up whenever we're looking at things that come off as youthful, in that it's not fully formed, it's not fully matured, it's, kind of doing what a reckless teenager would do, kind of thing. So that's maybe a not so great thing coming up here for the Trump administration. However, we've got two decent cards here coming up after it, with the King of Cups upright and the Empress card upright. With both of these energies coming in, there is a suggestion that some of the things that they are doing in terms of planting seeds could be quite positive for the United States long term. This is not usually a quite positive for right now card. This is much more a quite positive for later kind of card. The Empress, we talk about planting seeds and then you water that garden until you get them to grow into fully functioning trees. Well, when things are just little seeds, there's not much you can do with that. You're not really gonna get much out of just the seed. You're not going to get anything whenever it's low to the ground here, barely budding. If you want to plant a tree that bears fruit, sometimes you can plant a tree and the fruit isn't, ready to harvest and eat for years. Like, the tree has to mature enough to produce fruit and to get the fruit to grow for you to pick it. That takes a lot of time. So this sense is that there are some positive things associated with the Trump administration, some of the seeds that they're planting, that in a long-term capacity could be a good thing for us. It's just that is far enough away for those particular seeds that there's going to be a lot of uncomfortable, upset, or angry people in the meantime being like, what's that going to do for me now? I can't eat a little tree like this out of the ground. I need it to actually make some damn apples. That's what I can eat. I can't eat little sprouts. Like, give me something that I can actually use, So I do see that this is a perk to have this card coming up. It just has its drawbacks, is all. But it's coming up in its upright position, which is the way we'd want to see it. And that goes into that King of Cups card right here, which is that kind of emotional type of card going through, which is to say that later, if we were to fast forward and say, okay, so what about those seeds, right? Remember those seeds that Trump planted however many years ago? Remember those? What about those now? That if we were able to kind of fast forward, then yeah, there would be people that potentially weren't on board now, that later they would be like, actually now looking back on it, sure, I didn't feel so great about it back then, but I'm more on board with it now because I see it now. It makes sense to me now. It's working for me now. So this has a potential for some people to kind of shift their perspective, get a little bit more on board, and feel a little bit more okay with it. So these, again, got some strong suits, got some drawbacks, but we got a mix here. So if we're looking down here on the bottom, Knight of Pentacles upright, Justice card upright, Temperance card in reverse. What I'm seeing here, how do I put this? Though these two cards are in their upright position, this card being the final card in the lineup and being in reverse kind of, for lack of a better way of saying it, puts a damper on these two energies, not gonna lie. So the Temperance card is a timing and purpose type of card. When it's coming up in reverse, it's kind of suggesting like, yeah, our Knight of Pentacles upright is good. Our Justice card upright is good. But if the timing and purpose and point to everything is off, then that's going to negate some of these things here. So again, as a way to try to explain this, the visual that they're giving me right now is, have you ever, either yourself or seen someone else, be in a relationship where people were like, man, this relationship would really have worked had we met 10 years before or had we met 10 years later. It's too bad that the timing of this relationship, it's just not the right time and it can never work right now. Not like this. That you've ever had that happen or seen that happen with any of your loved ones, where it's like the person would have been a good person to be with and the relationship could have been a thing, but it's just wrong time, wrong place kind of thing. And so it can't be. That's that type of feeling here. They're also giving me, here's an example that they're bringing up from my past, where there was one job that I worked. I was on a statewide grant, and the grant was working on helping to identify substance use issues in general patients, like patients just coming into their, general doctor, or patients coming into the emergency room, or patients going to, an OBGYN visit, or, just any kind of whatever, going in for any reason to any kind of physician's office. And we were trying to teach those, physicians how to screen for alcohol and drug issues, to be like, hey, I know people don't always come in presenting with an alcohol or drug related issue. They're coming in for any number of other things, but you should check in on that. You should ask about it. You should find out if that's a thing with them, so that we can go ahead and get people help early. The earlier you identify something and get help, then the better, in terms of not causing advancing problems later, right? So we were trying to do that in a statewide grant, and it was like pulling teeth to get it to go. Well, long story long, probably about 5 years later, after the grant had already ended, I got a phone call from one of my previous colleagues that said, hey, remember how it was like pulling teeth and we just could not get things to happen on that front? And I was like, yeah. They're like, just wanted to call you and let you know this major, huge hospital system in our state just now took all the data that y'all got from that grant, and they went out, and all the people that you had working for them temporarily trying to get them to see it, they finally hired them full time and brought them on as staff, and they're going to keep them forever doing this work, from here on out. And it was like, beautiful, beautiful. I wish I was still there, to feel how good that feels. That was 5 years ago that grant ended. Every single day of it was pulling teeth and hurting cats, and it was hard, and it was hell, and it was salmon swimming against the current, and just nothing could flow smoothly. But then now they took all that, and 5 years later, finally came around, finally understood, and were being proactive about health-related things with people, presenting with other problems. And so it was like, wow, finally I see the fruits of those labors attach and start to grow. And this is kind of saying, like, yeah, in that case, while I was there, the timing was off. The point, the purpose was not clicking. It was not going. It wasn't until much later that these actually landed and made a difference. And so they're showing that even if these energies are positive energies, the timing of right now, it's not going to fit. It doesn't fit. It doesn't work. This is the wrong time, wrong place, or whatever for this stuff. It might be something that pays off later, like we just talked about with the Empress card, giving it time for the trees to grow and produce fruit. It might be that later, this finally starts to blossom and be like, oh, now it's making a difference. Now I see why this was a good thing. Now it's starting to take hold. But for right now, these things can't really go anywhere to the full extent. It's just the wrong time. It's the wrong time. So this is actually a very frustrating kind of thing to see because of knowing that I am a U.S. citizen. So I am sitting here, and so that means like, okay, things are going to be like really difficult for quite a while until certain things are able to like land and grow roots and actually start to make sense and come around and get better. Like this, it's tough to see. So yeah, in terms of kind of the question of if the Trump administration is strengthening or weakening the United States, from this, it looks like in the short term, currently, I gotta say it looks like it's kind of weakening us in the short term. In the long term, the things that are happening now look like they have the potential to strengthen us. But in terms of the short term, what's going on now and the timing and purpose of it for now, not looking very good. Not looking very good. So that's an interesting way for them to kind of call all of this out, bring all of this in. Wow. So that makes you wonder all the things that need to happen between now and this long-term scenario for us to get to the part where things start to click and grow roots and make a positive difference. It's like, how long is this short term where the timing is and it's not going to work? It's like, oh God. Especially if you think of presidencies being in 4-year increments, that in and of itself is kind of short term. So from what they're showing here, I would not be surprised if we didn't even make it to the whole long-term benefits during Trump's tenure. Like, we might still be on this whole short-term struggle bus the entire time he's in the office. Just saying what I see. Saying what I see. So, let's pull these up, reshuffle them in here, and take a look at some of these other questions. So, let's look at these other questions. So, as I'm getting shuffled up here, for people who like to have extra content, extra weekly forecasts, extra posts, just extras, extra emojis, all this kind of other stuff, then you can consider joining the Perk Squad. The Perk Squad has many extra perks, all of those things and more, including things like video shout outs. So shout out to you, Ginger Snap, and thank you for being a member of the Perk Squad. Happy to have you here, Ginger Snap. Shout out to you. Thank you for being a member of the Perk Squad. All of that over there. You can click the join button down below or the link in the description box to check that out. There's like 6 different things that you can get for being over there if you are interested. So just like to mention that while I am shuffling. I think I am good and shuffled now. So let's go ahead and dive into this next question here, which is, will President Trump get impeached for a 3rd time during his presidency? So apparently he's already been impeached twice. People are wondering if it's going to happen again for a 3rd time during this presidency. I guess let's just take a peek at what we're allowed to know, what we can see. What's the likelihood of this happening or not happening? I'm about to find out. Alrighty here. So we've got quite a mixed bag of stuff here. I'd say from looking at this, there is a high likelihood of people trying to impeach him. So I definitely see the potential for those talks to come up here, and I don't know if those talks are already happening. I have not watched. I looked back to see, like, when was my last political video? My last political video was the first week of April. At the time of filming this right now, it is, it just turned 4 o'clock. It is 4 o'clock on Wednesday, May 28th. So literally, as I'm filming this now, it's May 28th, and I haven't done a political video since April, 9th or something. So it's been almost 2 months since I've done anything political. I have no idea if there are currently talks on the table about Trump getting impeached. I have zero clue. You can let me know in the comments if that's going on or not. But from what I'm seeing here, I do see people at least raising the issue, because this is communication all over the place, not agreeing. This is stress and anxiety about it. This is people being like, I just can't. We've got to exile this, kick him off the island. I cannot with this. So these cards here very much so look like talking about it and considering the how and the when, and all the things that they could use to bring up an impeachment. So these seem like pretty heavy talks about it, whether they're talks out publicly or whether this is happening behind the scenes, no clue. Just saying what I see right here. Over here though, This is the opposite energy, which is very wild to get like this matching up and then this matching up. And then they come and click together in a perfect puzzle piece of what the fuck is this going on in the United States? A perfect split. Oh, wow. Fun. So, cause over here, this is like, oh no, I wouldn't want to impeach him. This is exactly what I'm wanting. Like, think deep. This is what we need. That, you know, it's bringing exactly what we need. We're getting what we need out of this. So these over here are like so in line with and okay with what's going on that they would have major pushback against this. So in the whole will he get impeached, it's once again, it's just looking like this crazy schism of very extreme, yes, we must, and very extreme, what are you, crazy? No, we shouldn't. This is absolutely the way it needs to go. And so it's like, what? How is it, you know, so polarized, these two thoughts? How is it that there's not more on the same page here? So that's interesting how they're describing that. Let me pull and see if there's anything else with this to give us some more clarity on whether or not this is likely to happen for a third time. Okay. So again, this is kind of like waiting around, observing, collecting data, collecting notes and things. The Judgment card in reverse, though, which is a bit of a dual meaning here, because on one hand, it's like, yeah, because of some poor judgment going on, this should happen, but then it also means, but we are unable to make an official judgment on this because of those two polarizing factions that we just saw a while ago. So the Seven of Pentacles is just like, okay, well then keep collecting all the little bits and pieces that we need to be able to make this to happen. So I do see that people are going to be talking about impeachment and like more and more and more over time. I do see that they are collecting whatever kind of data, evidence, you know, notes, incidences, details, whatever they need to be able to put that forth. And so I see all of these things being gathered and being discussed, and very likely that this would get presented to be like, okay, you know, I hereby present this. Let's start this. Let's make it happen. Let's go. But then with that Judgment card being in reverse, it does make me wonder if it would be effective, if they would be able to actually do it. I am not completely convinced that they would, or at least it's not showing that up right now. Maybe later on it would. I don't know, but I'm not really seeing that for right now that would actually happen. So I definitely see high likelihood of bringing that forward, getting as much as they need to present that and bring that forward. I just see lower likelihood of it actually being able to happen for whatever reason. That Judgment card in reverse just makes me be like, I don't know about that. I just am not sure if they'd be able to pull that off. I mean, they've pulled it off twice before. What's a third time, you know? You'd think that they would be able to, but there's something there holding on. Even if it's like one of those little kids' tooth that's holding on by one little root and it's dangling in their mouth, but it's still there. It's still holding on, though, by a little thread, but it's still there. So, very interesting indeed with that one. Okay. Very quickly, I will ask this last question. I will try to squeeze it in. But I'm not going to try to squeeze anything out of the cards that aren't there. I will read whatever they give me and only what they give me. And I'm not going to press on this next question, because the next question that y'all had was, will President Trump even finish his full term? There are some things with that make you wonder. There are many reasons why he wouldn't be able to finish his full term. Maybe he wouldn't because of being impeached and removed from office. Maybe he wouldn't because of a health thing that he had. Maybe he wouldn't because someone finally succeeded in taking him out, like has been attempted in the past. There's all kinds of different reasons of why he wouldn't, most of which seem really like uncomfortable, scary, sad, not so good. So I don't want to spend a whole lot of time on this one pressing the issue too bad, because this is some sensitive territory here. But we're going to take a look. So as I get shuffled up for this last one, if you'd like to book a reading with me, BeasTalksAndTarot at not at gmail.com. That's my email. BeasTalksAndTarot.com is the website. So BeasTalksAndTarot.com. You can book a private reading with me. Also Reiki Energy healing for anybody that wants a cleansing and clearing. Intuitive healing sessions for anybody that just basically needs help with anything. Like how do I, get some kind of spiritual help? How do I get some sort of, spiritual and emotional assistance? How do I get help in moving forward and getting to where I want to go? How do I let go of these old things from the past? How do I yada, 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 fill in the blanks, all of that on intuitive healing sessions. And then for people that want to learn how to read the cards the way I read the cards, tarot tutoring is on the website as well. So all of that at BeasTalksAndTarot.com. So let's see what we're going to do about this last question. Will President Trump finish his full term? So, did y'all hear Teddy? With his ooh, 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 ooh. Who barks like that? Who barks with ooh, oohs? Teddy does. Son! Teddy! You did enough! You finished! I'm telling you. Him starting to bark as we're doing this last question is interesting. Okay. So, what I am seeing here. Technically, I'm not getting any of the kinds of cards here that really freak me out, such as a 3 of Swords, or a 10 of Swords, or a Death card, or things like that. Not getting those. But I'm also getting some other cards that make me side-eye, like this one, potentially this one, and these two I'm not, honestly, all of them give me a little bit of a side-eye. I'm like, oh, there's some giving me a side-eye, like this one, and 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 this one. It's like, okay, good job, Ish. No, you got side-eye on all of them. Okay, good. Now you're coming in, Teddy? All right, let me give him some acknowledgement so he'll shut up and leave us alone so we can answer this very sensitive question. Okay. We're giving you acknowledgements, Teddy. Would you like to assist with this reading? Because this is a very heavy reading. Are you going to try to help lighten it up for us so that we can stay in our channel? We can stay in the light and of the light? Yeah. Oh, you're going to help us stay in the light and of the light? Yeah, you're going to help us stay in channel? That's very good. Yeah, help mommy stay in channel. Let's do that. Let's stay in channel. As you got licks. You've got licks. Yeah. Okay. So, what I am seeing here, why these make me have some side-eye. Let me put them back on the floor. Thank you for your help, little boy. Thank you for your help. But why these make me have some side-eye is because when the Chariot is reversed, that's pumping the brakes. That's not going any further. When the World card is upright, that's tying a bow around something. Be like, okay, that's that. we tied a bow around it. When you've got the Five of Swords coming in here, this is like a walking away, and this is like a, okay, come hell or high water, you know, this is the end, this is it, or whatever. Why the Sun card makes me weirded out when this is the most positive card in the deck, especially in its upright position. This should be a great sign. But why it weirds me out is because there have been several readings when we're talking about Trump, politics, you know, the political environment, things that are going on with wars and conflicts and geopolitics and all that kind of stuff. There's been several times where this card has come up representing China in a weird way. And so I'm like, you know, I don't know. I want to say it's a positive card here, but because it has represented China and kind of external affairs and those types of things, it does make me want to reserve a little bit of brain waves for that kind of a potential. And then the reason why these give me side eyes is because this is like, you know, kind of like my way or the highway type of thing. If it's not done this one way, then it can't be done at all. And this is like, I'm bringing you bad news. I'm, you know, I come bearing some things that you emotionally will not find pleasing. So there's some things that I am worried about in terms of his potential to complete his full term. If we want to read this Sun card completely upright and just ignore any of the little side-eye, you know, caution flags that are popping up in my mind, if we want to ignore the caution flags, then this can look like a decent sign here. But the thing is, I don't generally want to ignore the caution flags in my mind, because even if this is a great sign, it's still surrounded by all the rest of these. So, you know, at some point, you can't just read one card and say, well, but this card is the most positive card in the deck, so I'm just going to read it like that, because then you're turning a blind eye to all of this context around it. And y'all know here, we read the context, okay? We don't just cherry pick one out from the mix. We read it together within the context in which it was delivered. And it was delivered here. So I would say that I want to believe that he will finish his full term, in that I don't like the idea of anybody being cut short from doing whatever they're meant to do, especially if it's in some kind of a violent or lethal way or something like that. You know, that's scary business, and I don't approve and condone of kind of scary, violent stuff and whatever. If people have their own genuine health things that come up, then, you know, I have sympathy for that. Life is life. It will run its course if that kind of thing happens, you know, whatever. It's just that I generally root for people to be okay. You know, so I want to see that, but within the context of everything, I would say I have some side-eye concerns, some little caution flags here coming up about his ability to complete a full 4-year term. So it does make me wonder. And seeing the cards that I'm seeing here, it doesn't look like if it were to happen, it's because, oh, I choose to step down. Or that it's because of something like that felt by choice, like I volunteered to do this or something. The things that are contextually coming around it, it's like, couldn't go any further. Tied a bow around that, you know, this is the end of that rope, this is the ultimatum, and so this is how it's got to happen. Sorry, got bad news. You know, all of these things here feel more like if he were to not finish, it would be not of his own choosing. And that's where I'm like, you know, that's where things get a little bit nerve-wracking and sensitive. Especially because if that Sun card does kind of come into play the way that things have already done in the past, where this looks like it could represent some other country, for crying out loud, then that would make you wonder that if there's some reasoning of why he wouldn't complete a full term, and that there could be other countries or leaders or whatever that might have an influence in that. Whether it's an influence because of, I gotta really watch my words here, you know, whether it's an influence because they're, you know, in on being like, he needs to be taken out, or whether it's an influence as in, let's make him so stressed and create a living hell such that he's so stressed his body deteriorates fast and then he's out. I don't, you know, it's hard to say. And like I said, I before I even did this, I was like, I'm not going to sit here and try to squeeze more things out of the cards. I'm just going to take whatever they give me and be like, okay, that's what they want me to know right now. That's what they're okay with us knowing right now. And I'm just going to stop there and not try to squeeze too hard, because it feels a little bit weird if we're starting to squeeze out information about somebody's potential demise. That feels a little bit like you shouldn't be doing that, you know? So I just want to be very careful stepping on that kind of ground, you know, for all the reasons, So, anywho, this has been a lot. So we're going to do a B-roll after this, some sort of shenanigans as a B-roll after this, whether it's more puppy shenanigans or whatever, to try to help lighten the mood, make things feel, you know, a little bit worth smiling or laughing, or just feeling a little bit more comfortable and cozy, because this one was kind of a big reading. This one had some, you know, power punch type questions. Lately we've done readings on true crime videos, and yeah, like, let me look at all the things that we've done lately. The videos that we've done stuff on aliens, you know, that was like just a fun, interesting kind of thing. We've done you know, channeled messages, which are always like kind of positive and encouraging in tone. We've done some true crime stuff with the Menendez brothers and the Karen Reed retrial. And in our live streams, we've done things about, you know, funny story times. We've done readings about the Pope, about the Pacific Northwest volcano, about AI, about potential for like weather manipulation stuff and things like that. So this is kind of the first like super heavy political thing that we've done since early April. So stay tuned for the B-roll to get yourself lifted and light again after all of that. Y'all let me know your thoughts on some of these things, especially if you are tuned into politics more than me, and that you have so many kind of insights that you want to share. Put that in there. I need to film some June prediction videos soon and post those. So yeah, we're almost done with May, so I need to go ahead and film some June predictions, figure out what in the hell is on the docket for us in the month of June. So that'll be coming up within the next week or so. But yeah, let me know what you're looking for readings on. I always adding to the list of considerations and see what sticks out to me. These are the questions that stuck out from the things that y'all have requested. So thanks for requesting these questions. They were really good questions. They were just really tough questions, but I appreciate them anyway. So anywho, B-roll coming up at you, and don't be a stranger. Come back and see me, and I will talk at you later. Bye, y'all. Just stuck in there and he's not moving. Oh, there he goes. Shiz. Teddy! What are you doing in the bushes? Teddy, get over here! but he's just like, I mean,
Come here,
we've been doing this for a long time now.
Maybe he's stuck.
Teddy, are you stuck? Tutu, can you come? Did you get yourself stuck? I mean, if he got himself stuck, he's not making any noise about it. Daddy's getting his shoes. He's not making noise about it. Like, he's not, he don't sound upset.
Stuck and he just stayed like that. He didn't say it. Like,
He's not saying anything. This is ridiculous. Rescue mission. Daddy's got his shoes on. Rescue. Is he stuck?
Yeah, he was pushed against the wall.
He was stuck against the wall.
Like, he was pushing himself against the wall.
Quit
like
going into weird places, Teddy.
Leaves place.
This is what you get for going into weird places. Don't go where you don't belong. There he goes. He started doing his little moonwalk thing. He only did a little bit, but he did some.